After with Coach, you guys would like to ask a question? We'll start with Ansar Khan.
Yeah, Jeff, when you got a veteran like Sam Gagne, obviously important to have some guys like that on a young rebuilding team, but also important for him just to lead by example as far as on the ice to have the kind of productive season that he's had.
Well, first off, I think the production's great. I think he's at 12 now. So that's a positive in not a lot of prime offensive situations. It's a lot of goals. He hasn't spent much time on our power play. Has generally been on in as a PK and in more defensive type roles. So he's added lots of depth of scoring, which I think is important. I think it's important for him to lead by example, but I wouldn't necessarily just equate that to production. I think he could have 4 goals right now, and I would still tell you he's leading by example. He tries to do it right. His approach and in terms of his everyday approach has been really good. And he's trying to play the way that we want to play. So I think his example, both on and off the ice, has been really good.
Is that what you expected from him back? It's been a few years now since that trade deadline deal.
I didn't know him at all at the trade deadline. I really didn't know what to expect. I would say really quickly, I learned that he was a guy who cared a ton, who was smart, who in that short period of time definitely said to me, I'd like to have him back. And then certainly that first year, first full year, I think he did an excellent job of leading it, especially when times were tough. And it says a lot about him, his character, and who he is as a person.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Max Bowman.
Jeff, you've talked about kind of sacrifice and as a component of your guys' identity. I'm just curious, what are the things you look for on a given night? I think obviously shot blocking is a big one, but like you're gauging where that level is at.
When you talk about sacrifice, certainly it starts with shot blocking and being willing to knowingly put yourself in harm's way to try to win a hockey game. And there can be negative repercussions that we've seen over the years from blocking shots, and it just says that you want to do everything it takes to win. So that's a big one. That I think you can see. I'd also would say things like taking a hit to make a play, knowing that you're gonna have to stay in there and take that hit in order to make the proper play with the puck and not throw the puck away or not step out of the hit. And certainly we'd love to be in a position where we don't have to block shots and we don't have to take hits to make plays, but that's not the reality of ice hockey. And I think those are two things that really show that you want to do everything it takes to win. I would also say shift length, and understanding if you get bogged in your D zone for 35 seconds, that's it. You're trying to get it deep and change, because if you go try to play offense, then next thing you know, you're tracking back and you're a minute into your shift. So I think that's an area of sacrifice. I think there's probably parts of discipline that fall under sacrifice. You might take a shot and you got to kind of swallow it for a little bit and get the guy back at the right time. So all those things are things that to me are indicators of sacrifice.
How do you see kind of the bench respond to it in game? Like when they see a block shot or they see a guy take a hit to make a pass?
Yeah. Well, I think it invigorates your team. You can feel it on the bench. You can listen to it on the bench. Guys are cheering for each other. And I think it invigorates your team. I think it says a lot about what where your team's at. And I think we've had great sacrifice for most of the season. I think we lost it for a little stretch where we were kind of just playing the game. And I think we've gotten back to playing a game with that care level that you'll do anything it takes to win. And regardless if we're playing for a playoff spot or not, which we're not now, you're still doing whatever it takes to win. And this is when you really see true character.
And last thing, you've talked about his scoring talent. I'm just curious, like, what is it about his shot or the way that he scores that stands out to you as putting him in that tier, guys?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's probably, never want to say the best I've been around, but he's one of the very, very best players in terms of his ability to score goals. And what makes him that he's got a really, really quick release. He can get it off really fast in tight areas. He's got great, I would say, he finds accuracy in his shot is really good. He can score different ways. He's got a powerful one-timer. He can score with that quick wrister. He just kind of knows how to score in the breakaway type situations lots. He's really got that special ability to score.
I've seen a couple of videos where his hands are really high on his stick. Is that something he's scoring because of, or almost in spite of because of how good he is?
In order to shoot like that, you have to have really strong wrists. You know, that's how Johan Franzen could do it. You know, and Johan obviously was another really great scorer. And you know, when you'd feed Johan pucks, he would be on and off his stick so fast. Where most guys got to take the second to get down their stick and try to get in. And so when you can do it the way he does it, it's pretty special. Most guys, I don't think, could get the power and the quickness off when their hands are that close together. And I'm not by any stretch a shooting expert. I rely on other people for that. But that's been my observation is, man, if you can do that. I was just watching Verana shoot pucks today, and he wasn't trying to rifle them in the net. He was just kind of picking them quick and placing them in the right. And it was amazing, honestly. And you know, so he's got that real ability to do that. Yeah.
Kevin Allen.
Yeah, Jeff, obviously there are exceptions like Lucas Raymond, but usually how critical is it for a young European prospect to start and have some time in the AHL to acclimate before he comes to the NHL?
Yeah, it's a good question. We're actually talking about, not pertaining to our team at all, talking about, you know, the American League as a kind of a training ground for a number of players. We're talking about potential, you know, even high picks that are, you know, either in college or wherever they might be. The AHL is a great level for guys to really prepare themselves for the NHL, because at the American Hockey League level, they generally can't get away with the same things they could either in Europe, in junior, or in college. And so they have to learn how to be more effective in the tight kind of checking style where teams and players are very, very even, and you just don't get away with as much. And specifically to Europe, and to your question, you know, I think the game is a little bit different. I've coached a number of world championship teams on big sheets, and it is a bit of a different game. Doesn't mean that some of the attributes aren't the same, but the game is different. Just getting adjusted to the ice, the lack of time and space, the heaviness of the forecheck is probably one huge difference, both from a forward perspective of how hard you have to forecheck in the NHL, and how that can be a real positive to you, where in Europe it isn't necessarily that. And from a defenseman's perspective, how important it is to be put under that level of pressure that you're put under in forecheck type pressure in the North in the American League. So I think it's a critical piece of most players' development. You know, certainly there's those elite guys that for either circumstance or because of their ability are able to step in and make an impact right away in the NHL. I think for most guys, it's critical that they spend that time in the American League.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Wayne St. James.
Jeff, when you guys were going through that 6-game losing streak recently, what are maybe some of the subtle ways that guys like Sam Gagner helps you get out of it?
Well, I think Sam, it generally, his message is generally the type of message that you would want from players in terms of winning type players, and guys that get it, and guys to say, you know, when it's going bad, it's easy to place blame. It's easy to deflect. It's easy, honestly, probably to get a little bit of woe is me and feel sorry for yourself a little bit. And I think Sam's experience and who he is as a person can help in those situations to, one, you know, say, look in the mirror, and you know, each one of us has to be better. Two, you know, talk about opportunities that you have ahead of you every day, and how important those are. And I just think when you have the perspective from having gone through a lot of situations like Sam has, as well as the intelligence to help kind of verbalize that to his teammates, I think it's a real impact.
Just from a coaching perspective, how much of an asset is it you have a guy like Sam? I mean, he's played mostly in your bottom six, but you can play him anywhere. And I mean, he's even on the PK, he makes it more dangerous because he can be a threat to score.
Yeah, you know, I think Sam has done a great job here of kind of redefining himself and becoming a real good defensive player. And I think, you know, he's wanted to and rightfully so, say that he thinks he's got more offense to offer, and he's you know, kind of proving some of that right. And I think the fact that he's got the number he's got, having spent most of the time in not great offensive situations, that's a huge plus for your hockey team, that you can have depth of scoring without having to have 18 minutes of ice time, without having to be on the power play, without having to play with other, the top offensive players in your team. And so he does give us that ability. He's been out there at times 6-on-5. He spent some time on our power play. We do know he has certainly his offensive mind is still there. And he's got that thought process, and he's calm under pressure. So I think all those things have led to him to be an important member of our hockey team.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, those are all the questions we answered for Coach Blashill. Thanks everyone for joining us.